So March the 9th, you guys are showing it being in corporate 210. So regardless,
Okay.
online you're at 210.
Perfect, appreciate it.
Calling the matter of Roy versus Roy, my lord.
So just for introductions, Mr. Roy, you're here in person,
I am, yes.
and Ms. Roy, you're also here in person. This is your application, Mr. Roy, so go ahead.
It is, yes. I don't know if you had time to read my application.
I've looked at it generally, but not in particular detail.
Okay, it's quite a long road I've traveled since 2008 to get access to my children, to see them on a regular basis, be part of their lives, and to be a part of their health care. Every step of the way, it's been an absolute monumental battle. I mean, this is part of my story since 2008 in the court.
The good news is, and I often find it helpful, is to really focus on the specific orders you're seeking. So it might be a long history, but thankfully, I don't need to know all of it. I just need to know what I need to know to pronounce on the 6 things you've asked for.
I appreciate that, yes.
So one way to go about it is to just look at your 6 orders and you tell me why you should get each one of them. And then we can sort of bounce back and forth and figure out whether each of them makes sense.
Sure, that
So-
sounds good.
So
Appreciate that, my lord.
why don't we start with number 1? You say that she's offside Madam Justice Fisher's order and Mr. Justice Brown's order. Can you show me those orders and then tell me where she's offside?
From memory, Mrs. Fisher's order, Madame Justice Fisher, that was 2010. I had gone to court to get access. At that time, I was getting very, very limited access.
And do you have that here? I see
I
Brown's order, do you have Fisher's order?
I do have it in one of my binders here.
Oh, there we go, it's in your tab 5.
The original 2010 order, yeah.
I've got the clerk's notes, is there an actual order?
Yes, there was.
Another copy.
Do you know if it's in the binder that he's got? If you've got a copy of the order, an extra copy of the other one, you just hand it out to him.
Yeah, that was, I recognize that one, yeah, so that's the 2010 one.
Okay, so what order has it controlled?
Just liberal and general access, I have the judge says I should have every second weekend. Due to my scheduling, due to work, due to life in general, I'm not able to set out an exact schedule, so what Ms. Roy has done is she's taken a calendar since 2008 and said, this is your weekend, this is my weekend, this is your weekend, and staggered them, which I can appreciate, but
That seems to be what the order says to do.
but it doesn't say the exact days. So if I haven't seen my kids for 6 weeks and I give her a week's notice and say, can I see my kids next week? She says, no, that does not fall on your weekend.
No, but that's what the order says. So the order says that you'll get alternating weekends. So if you're not, she's offering alternating weekends, right?
She's saying I can have every second weekend, but she's put it in stone which weekends are mine and which ones are hers.
But they're alternating.
Yeah, but
So what difference does it make?
if I haven't seen my kids in one case due to work, I haven't seen my kids for a few months, so I really want to see my kids. I have next weekend available. Can I have that weekend? And she'll be rigid on my access and say, no, you can't have that weekend. So the next weekend, I've had to, at work, I've had to change my whole schedule.
Right, but that's what the order says, is alternating weekends.
I suppose that's an interpretation. I
Well, I'm just
interpreted it.
reading the words, alternating weekend.
Yeah, I would have hoped, if I was in that situation and Miss Roy hadn't seen the kids in 6 weeks and she said, can I come and see the kids, can I come pick the kids up? I would say,
You're
absolutely.
asking for a change in the order then. You're not saying that she's broken the order, you want the order changed.
Yes, sure. Sounds good, yes.
So that's a different thing. So is that the only thing that you're saying she breached in the Fisher order?
Yes, yes.
So let's go to the Brown order. Is there an actual order like this, or just the clerk's notes?
Just the
that-
clerk's notes. For
You
some
don't have
reason,
the Brown order either? No.
my lawyer had a hard time dealing with Mr. Lau, and then Mr. Lau no longer represents Mr.
Okay,
Wright.
so I'm looking at the court summary sheet of the Brown order in 2013. Do you have that in front of you as well?
I do, yes.
And is there a term that she breached there?
Contempt. The general idea is, I believe, I don't have the second page here, that the two parents will be,
Or sorry, the second, it was in your binder. I've got the second, the one that has term 6, 7, 8, 9.
yes, I've gone up to term 4. I don't have that second page with me.
Do you have an extra copy of that second page of the Brown order?
I possibly have it in,
I believe it's in my affidavit, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm not sure any of these terms look like ones you'd be saying she's upside on, but 5 was just recording telephone calls, 6 was talking respectfully, 7
yes,
was
exactly.
adjourning the contempt, and
That would
8
be
was
a good
cause.
point, is just being respectful, her claiming that my kids don't wanna see me, she's mentioned that in her affidavit. Exclusion claimant from the children's dental appointments. I told her
Oh, sorry,
that.
so that's 3. So you're saying she's violated 3?
2, that's number 2 in the Brown order.
Looks like 2 is the restraining order?
2,
I'm looking at the same one.
I think we might be looking at a
The
different one.
January 21, 2013?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, so number 1 is parties to exchange at a mutual location. 2 is term 5 of the restraining
I
order.
have a completely different piece of paper, I don't,
This is from your binder here, so let me hand it to you, and you can look at it and see if you're looking at the same thing I'm looking.
oh, I was looking up top, notice of application. Oh, I see, that's my notice of application, and this is what he's ruled, the terms of order. My apologies, I misunderstood.
So do you have this? Someone?
I do, yes.
Okay, so which one do you say that, if any, that she's breached in this order?
The claimant is liable to, is number 3, yes, to attend the children's dental appointments.
Okay, so, sounds like fun. Which dental appointment have you not attended?
Well, actually, for years, I was unable to, basically all of them, except for the last one I attended. I asked her not to
Or
attend.
it's liberty to attend. So you have to show me evidence of a dental appointment that you wanted to attend and couldn't.
Now, that's gonna be a tough one to prove. Dr. Norrie was the children's dentist for the majority of the time.
So it's your burden to show me that she breached that, so.
Yeah, Dr. Norrie, I reported to the College of Dental Surgeons. Ms. Roy had,
Let's stay focused. What you're saying was breached is your right, God knows why anyone would want to go to the dentist, your right to go to the dentist with the children. So show me in this binder where there's evidence that she deprived you of that right to go to the dentist.
the binder, there's the, part of the binder there is the children's dental notes. And on the top of, Dr. Norrie's dental notes, you'll see it says the parents are divorced. So
That
when I
doesn't
went,
mean
when
you're
I
not
went,
allowed to go.
essentially, Dr. Norrie disallowed me from being in his office believe in 2011 and 2013. He would
That's
be-
not really her fault, is it?
It's her fault in the fact that Dr. Norrie should have, me being a divorced dad, had no bearing. I never told him I was a divorced dad.
Right,
Miss
but that's,
Roy-
you're saying Dr. Norrie screwed up, but
Well-
is
well,
there anything that, can
Dr.
you show me evidence that she deprived you of your right to go to the dentist?
She convinced Dr. Norrie, that I should not be, and I don't know how she's done it. I know, she communicates with, different people, such as in 2012, she told, the principal that I shouldn't be allowed to go to my son's school to
Right,
pick
but
him up.
we're talking about dentists, let's
Yeah,
not get
this-
distracted. So show me if you have any evidence that she
The only-
told Dr. Norrie that you shouldn't be allowed to go to the dentist.
The only evidence I have is, the top of all of Dr. Norrie's notes there, it says the parents are divorced.
Yeah, I don't think, that's not good enough. I mean.
No,
you're
and he,
divorced doesn't
and
mean-
he essentially told me that he will not allow me to go to his dental appointments. And Dr. Norrie is, I reported him the last time to the College of Dental Surgeon, and he has removed himself from being the children's, dentist.
Okay.
And that is I
Right,
got,
but that's a bit of a side show, because what you're asking for is contempt against
yes,
the respondent. So,
yes.
do you have any evidence that she deprived you of your liberty to go to the dentist appointment?
No, I don't have any proof. If I would've showed up, I would've, probably been in trouble. He might have phoned the police on me for being there. It was too risky. I wasn't gonna get adversarial at his office. It's already traumatic enough for my two children.
So the one thing I would suggest that you do, if that's all you've got, it sounds like your problem might be that you haven't got this December 23rd, Curtis Brown order actually entered in the court in the same way that this one looks. So if the two of you actually worked on preparing an order that tracked this, you could then enter it. And then I expect that if you took that to a dentist office and were
I
able to
have.
send it to the dentist.
Oh, I have.
No, but you don't have this one, the Brown
I
order,
do.
in the same form as the Fisher order.
Yes, I did not bring the stack of paperwork with my dealings with the College of Dental Surgeons, but it's been quite a lengthy battle. And Dr. Norrie, since 2010, has had the original order that I should be able to attend all doctor's appointments. He was re-given that in 2013, and I believe he was given that he was absolutely given that in 2018, and then this went to the College
Your
of
problem is dentists, all I'm saying is that I don't think, and I can't see in the file, an order in this form, the nice pretty court form with the
Yeah.
stamp,
And he was,
of the 2013 order. So you might be well advised to work with your ex on getting this order to look like this order, entering it into
well,
court.
she won't do that.
And then, well, I can make that order, so that you have something that looks like this, that you can show any future dentist to say, I have the right to do that.
I have, this has
No,
been.
you don't have this, you're not listening.
Oh, yes,
The
yes, I
2013,
understand that.
I need, you need this to look like this.
Yeah.
So that's just a recommendation in terms of if you're having trouble accessing the dentist, if you had something that looked like this would make a dentist nervous, and he would say, I need to comply with this.
That one, the dentist does have, and,
No, but this isn't good enough. The one that's specific is the 2013 one.
Right.
So
Yes.
my recommendation to you is to work on getting a form of order that reflects the 2013 order. That would give you a hammer to use against any future dentist.
sure, I can appreciate that. Can I, enter one more interesting fact, because I know this case is bigger than I would ever be able to explain here, but this is going back.
But we don't need, the good news is we don't have to do that. We have to deal with the things you've asked for. So I think you've given me all the evidence you can on number one, right?
Yes.
Okay, I can say, let me, Madam Regis, do you have anything to add on number one? I don't need to hear from you on number one. So on number one, these are my reasons in relation to remedy number one sought by the claimant on this application being an order for contempt. The claimant has reviewed what information he has, and I see no evidence at this time that rises to the level of justifying an order of contempt against the respondent in relation to the orders of Madam Justice Fisher and Mr. Justice Brown pronounced October 18th, 2010, and January 21, 2013. So there's number one. Let's look at number two. You want to modify the parenting time.
That's correct.
So tell me what, you don't tell me exactly what you want, so tell me what you want.
The specific dates, I actually sent an email to Ms. Roy with some specific dates coming up, and she has just ignored. So each year when it comes time to choose summer holidays or spring break, she stalls and stalls and stalls until the time is over.
Well, let's not worry about that. I'm just asking you to tell me what you want.
Oh, okay, believe it's in my affidavit. On the last page of the affidavit, Exhibit 9. So these emails have gone back and forth now, and I've got a binder of emails that have gone back and forth.
Okay, so what do you want?
I'm looking at a 4-week block of time over summer holidays.
Over summer holidays.
So essentially, that's just half the summer holidays.
Okay.
A 7-day block time over Christmas.
Over Christmas, yeah.
A 7-day block of time, I've got 5, but the 7 works out to half, spring break. It actually works out to less than half, but I'd be satisfied with 7.
Yeah.
When my weekends, there's a statutory holiday or pro B day, what they call school, they get the day off. That I get the 3 days, the 3 full, if it falls on my weekend, that I get the whole weekend, including the B day or the holiday.
Yeah.
Father's Day,
Yeah.
and be able to take my sons to doctor's appointments, dentist appointments,
Well,
and counseling.
that's the next one. It's the,
Okay.
sorry, every second weekend.
Every second weekend, with some kind of flexibility where if I have to work and I can't get away from work, I haven't seen my children for a month, that there'd be some kind of flexibility where I can exchange one weekend for another, just common sense.
Yeah, that's a little disruptive. Sorry, you're saying you don't want every second weekend?
Oh, I do, absolutely, but,
And you want more than every second weekend, or I'm not understanding?
so essentially, I live out of town, I live 4 hours away. So with my work, and I take different contracts on, at times I can't get to town for a month. And if I call Miss Roy to say, I haven't seen my kids for a month, can I see them next week? That works into my schedule. She's been 100% rigid except for 1 day in the last 10 years.
But you always get every second weekend.
Technically, I have the right to get
So-
here, but if I
So
can.
you'll never go more than 4 weeks. If you can't do 1 weekend, you're gonna get 2 weekends out from that.
That's correct, yes.
So it's never
yes.
more than a month.
It's never, typically, it's never more than a month depending,
So what's the problem?
I, essentially, my last job I had, my schedule was 7 and 7, so I was 7 on, 7 off, so I worked 7 days in a row. It fell on not my weekend, the rigid weekend that, Ms. Roy set out for me. I almost lost my job, and I basically told my employer that I'm going to have to quit my job if you cannot switch my weekend. Ms. Roy was 100% rigid, would not switch my weekend at all, and I I nearly lost my job over it. My employer fortunately made accommodations for me and switched everybody in that office's, our department, our whole schedule to accommodate me within 2 months of me being employed there. I was not a big fan of management.
Right, but I can't, I'm trying to figure out what you want me to do.
I know it's a tough one to word. Yeah, I know it is a tough one to word. I see that. I can say that I would never abuse my access. I'm just saying, if I get in another situation like that where my work schedule falls on the weekends that Ms. Roy says are my weekends.
No, it's not her, it's every second weekend.
It's every
So
second weekend,
just
but
what the court said.
she's made it rigid, like this is your
Well,
weekend.
no, the order makes it rigid, don't blame her, it's the court order says every second weekend. So it's got nothing to do with her, it's got to do with
So
the
how about if we
court.
write in there that I have the ability, at least once a year, to flip my weekends if they don't work into my schedule? You know what I mean? Like she's picked a calendar, she's picked every second weekend. If we twist those, like if we switch those weekends, we still every second weekend, but sometimes my schedule, if I get a job where I'd have to basically come back to court to say, I'm not able to utilize those weekends that she has, or the court has set down, but there was no date set down on the piece of paper. Can we switch those weekends due to his schedule? I'd have to come back to this court and ask for that,
Yeah, I'm
because
just
she would,
thinking, maybe we could, if we did give you the right to reset the, like if it's 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2.
yes.
Give you the right to reset that, so that you would get 2 weekends in a row once a year, and then it would flip to 2, 1, 2, 1, 2,
Perfect,
1.
yes, and I'd even sacrifice a weekend as long as I could see my kids, right, and not lose my job.
So, once a year, the claimant, claimant has the right to reset the weekend rotation.
Awesome, I totally appreciate that.
Well, I'm just nailing down what you're asking. And then we'll deal with that's really your number 3, the dentist and stuff. So why don't we just see where your wife stands on that, what you've asked for there, to see if there's actually a gap between you on those points. So if you want to take a seat, I'll just make sure there's something to argue about.
Can I hand this one to you? These are the dates coming up for spring break and summer holidays, just so I can nail those down, because she won't do it afterwards.
Well, why don't we see where we're at on the principle of the thing, and then we can get into the specifics. So on the parenting schedule, you can stand up, we'll just work through that.
Okay.
Do you have his exhibit 9 in front of you?
Yes, I do.
And any problem with any of that?
Well, let's just say that, first of all, our children, one son is gonna be 16 in July, and the other one is gonna be 13 in November. So, you know, they make, it's not just every other weekend, they make plans with their friends on the
Right, but
weekends we're
now,
with.
I have to tell you the same thing I told him, which is the court order says every second weekend, so it is what it is.
Oh, yes, but that's what I'm saying to you, every alternating weekend, so we know that this is his weekend to come and see him, so they don't make plans on that weekend.
Oh, yeah, no, and
Right.
and it sounds like he's prepared to live with that as long as he gets that one reset right a year.
I'm not understanding why what is the reasoning for a reset? If he has
As I
it properly
understand it,
with
it's that
his
there might be a
work now.
conflict, and so he doesn't want to have to go a whole month not seeing them. So if he was able to reset 1, 2, 1, 2 to 2, 1, 2, 1, at least once a year, he could avoid conflict.
As long as there was a notice. But I also wanted to say that the boys would, if they wish to spend further time with their boys, there should be a choice, and they should have a voice in this.
Yeah, that would need a motion from you to change the term of the order. Like right now, it says every second weekend.
No, I know, but if he's wishing to change the order, then I would like that the children would have a voice in that.
Like a veto? Like that's not how it works. I take their views into account, but are they saying they don't, as I understood your material, they weren't saying they didn't want to see him every second weekend?
No,
So then what's the problem?
I'm just saying if there's a variation to the order, but if it's just changing once a year, that would be fine. as long as there was notice be provided.
You're right. Now, how much notice would you like before it did the reset?
That would be reasonable.
You told me.
Well, most times I'm getting things at last minute for him. He doesn't tell me when he's not coming on his weekend, so
Well, this is your chance to
it would
tell
be,
me what's
you know, it'd
reasonable.
be, like a month would be lovely.
Okay. And any problems with the other elements there, the summer holidays, Christmas, spring break, statutory?
Yes.
You do have problems, or they're okay?
No, I have problems with all of it.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm saying, if we're gonna change our current order, then I would like that the children would have a voice of changing the order.
But they're not here.
I know.
Okay. So you object to splitting the summer holiday?
Well, right now, he has two 7-day breaks separated by a week, and we've been adding his
In the
weekend
summer?
onto that. So that is like 18 days.
Right, so he's just asking to go to, in the summer, to 28 from 18.
Yeah.
And why?
Because as per my application there, the boys are quite content with the amount that they spend with them. All their friends are here in the Lower Mainland. There's nothing for them to do up there when they go to Logan Lake.
So right now he has 18 days in the summer?
That's not true, not 18 days, I don't,
Well, she thinks you have 18 days, so it's, you're content with, you'd be content with 18 days.
Well, it's his 7 days and with his weekend, so 18 days.
Miss Roy does not tell the truth very often. I have,
No, but she's telling me that she'd be content with 18 days, right?
That's what we did last year.
And do you have any, do you oppose 3 weeks?
Yes.
Okay, so the difference between 18 days and 21 days is a deal breaker for you.
Well, I'm sorry, I had consulted with my children if they wanted to spend more, and they are.
And they told you 18 days is fine, but
Well,
by the love of God, don't make it
No,
21 days.
they're even that is a lot for them in the summer, so.
Okay, so in summer, you're agreeable to an 18-day block of time.
Yeah. That's what we had last year.
And, sorry, do you have evidence in the record of them objecting to more than 18 days in the summer? Is there anything in here I can look at that shows that they're upset with more than 18 days?
No, but I had limited assistance with my application, and she has some legal basis here with, if he wishes to modify his parenting time, he must make an application to vary the final order.
But that's what he's done. That's what we're here to talking about today. So,
Well, he's, and provides, well, based on what she's saying, that the views of the children, and
yeah, that's why I'm asking you to point me to the views of the children, where they're,
I don't have anything in from them really. I didn't think it was appropriate for them to come.
okay, so there's no evidence on
No.
the views of the children.
No.
And so tell me again what the problem is with 28 days as opposed to 18 days.
Well, I'm saying that all their friends are here in the Lower Mainland. There's nothing for them to do up there.
Okay. Christmas holidays, 7 days, is that agreeable?
No, it's not agreeable.
What are you?
Well, it's depending on when they're off and how our Christmas falls, but we've added days last year to it.
So how many days was it last year?
I'm not exactly sure, do you know?
2 days last year.
I'm sure it was a 5-day break that you had since you
I
took
had
them up to
two- I
Logan
had-
Lake.
Okay, the good news is she's saying it was 5 days, so presumably you would agree to a 5-day block of time over Christmas, right? That's what you're telling me? I I'm asking you, Madam,
Oh,
so you're agreeable to 5-day block of time?
yes.
Uh, 5 days over spring break, are you agreeable to that?
Is that including his weekend?
Presumably this replaces the weekend. This is sort of the exceptions to the rule, so. So yes, there wouldn't be a weekend in the spring break
So
period.
it
There'd
would be
be this-
7 days in a
Oh,
row.
sorry, it was 7 days that he was asking for. So you're agreeable to a 7-day block of time during the spring break period?
No,
Okay, what are you agreeable to?
5 days is basically what he's saying in his order.
So you agree to 5 days?
Yes.
So essentially,
Oh, sorry, I'm still,
Sorry.
only one at a time.
Apologize.
The weekends going to the 3 days, any problem with that? The long weekends falling on his weeks would be 3 days?
Well, I'm sorry, I wasn't prepared here to say what could or not, because I would like the children to have a voice in what it is.
But you didn't bring that to me, so what am I supposed to do?
Well, I didn't realize that we would be dealing with this at this moment.
What did you think we were gonna do today?
Well, I didn't think that we would be setting down all the dates of when he would be able to do it.
What did
I
you
thought
think
I
we
would
were
need
going
more
to do
notice
today?
for this.
No, I'm not sure what you thought we were doing today, but this is what we're doing. Do you have any objection to this long weekends that fall on his weekend being 3 days?
Yes,
And what?
because our sons would like to have that one day for themselves for their weekend.
And sir, do you have any evidence of that? That's the only reason?
Yes.
Father's Day, any objection to that?
No.
And you're agreeable to the maintaining the 1 week, 1 off with a 1 opportunity reset of the 1 week, 1 off as long as he gives 1 month notice?
Yes.
So that would mean that once a year he would get 2 weekends in a row.
Oh. 2 weekends in a row. I would prefer not to have that.
So we could probably modify that so that I think he said he would be prepared to lose a week in order to be able to reset. So presumably you'd agree to that if it was sort of a 3-week jump.
Yes. And how would that work too, if it's the Father's Day and then his would be the following weekend, how would that work?
I take it that these are the exceptions to the rule, so it goes on off, but he always gets Father's Day, no matter either whether it's on his weekend or not on his weekend.
Okay,
That's what he's looking for.
okay. Can we do it the opposite too with the Mother's Day then?
Any objection to Mother's Day being with hers always?
I've been a pretty active parental alienation advocate for about 5 years now, since going through this absolute monumental battle. I would never in my life deny Miss Roy a day that she asked for if she had a genuine. Yeah, absolutely. Never, ever would I ever deny Miss Roy a day.
So no problem with
The children
Mother's Day?
need a mom and a dad, and Father's Day and Mother's Day, of course, it makes perfectly good sense.
Okay, that's the short answer is yes, I agree.
I apologize, but this is like, if I could explain 1/10 of everything I've been through since 2008.
I think we'd probably be here all day.
We would be
Again,
here all day.
The good news is we just get to worry about what's in the record. Okay, so I think I've got, anything else you want to tell me about childcare, the changes to the schedule? Is that everything you wanted to tell me?
Also, yes, because when he moved to Logan Lake in 2015, there was a proposal that we had in place, and he would not disclose his home address, and this is where it kind of end dated. So if we could have something in that order too, that he would have to disclose his home address, I should know where our sons are. And even when he comes to town to see them, I have no idea where they're staying. He doesn't tell me that he's not coming on his weekends. So as a mother, I would like to know where they are.
Can I speak regarding that?
Yeah, I'm gonna come back to you, I just wanna make sure I get everything. So, you'd like to have disclosure of his home address, notice if he's waiving a weekend,
Yeah.
anything else?
Where he's staying when he's coming to town to see the boys. Because he stays here with the boys, either in a hotel room or a campsite.
Okay, anything else? So coming back to you then, let's run through the.
If I could touch on, Ms. Roy minimizes and plays with words. I mean, she just threw in there.
Let me ask some questions to keep you on task. Are you agreeable to an 18-day block of time in the summer?
I do live quite a ways. Ms. Roy has minimized the love my children have for me. I actually have almost utopian world up there for my children, fishing, the outdoors.
Sorry, maybe you missed my question. My question was just with respect to this summer, are you agreeable to an 18-day block of time?
Excuse me, my lord, this would be a break in between them, is what I'm
No,
looking
it's
for.
one block.
No, I wouldn't want that. I would like it, like, right now we have it 7 and a 7 with a weekend, and I would like that to be the case. So like 9 days and then another period of 9 days. And that's what we had last year.
9 and 9. Okay, would you be agreeable to a 9 and 9 block of time in the summer?
What Ms. Roy has done for the last.
No, just answer my question.
No,
Just
no,
answer my
sir.
question.
No, Your Honor. I would prefer a solid block of time, because what happens is she will keep me in an email chain for eternity, and it won't work out with my schedule. So this way I can have a solid block of time. My kids also have a connection to me when they're with me for a longer part of time. Ms. Roy tries to break that up as much as she can. There's a long history with that, going back to when they were younger. They would get promised candy and gifts if they would ask to come back, so she could brainwash them over and over again, so break up the time as much as possible.
Would you agree to a 18-day block?
If I'm asking for 50%, but I will follow the course direction. I am grateful every time I see my children. My children are now near
So
Canadian.
you're not consenting to 18 days, but you'll leave it up to me.
Yes, I would like a four-week block. It's half the time. My children are all near adults. I mean, we're almost at 16 years old and 11 and a half years old now. We have a great relationship.
Do you have any evidence of that in the paperwork here?
Of which?
That you have a great relationship?
Oh, I have tons and tons and tons
Or
of pictures.
just something in the paper?
I don't have anything in the paperwork. I didn't bring that.
Well, both of you are trying to tell me what your kids think, but neither of you told me what your kids think.
Well, if you look what's happening here is Ms. Roy says the kids don't want to spend more time with me, and I'm
Right, but
saying
I
my
kept
kids
telling
love me.
her, where's that in the record?
Yeah,
And
she's
now
attacking me, and all I'm saying
what's
is.
good for the goose is good for the gander.
Well, no, but I'm not attacking Ms. Roy. I'm just saying my kids love me, and Ms. Roy is saying they don't love me, so she's attacking me.
And neither of you put that in evidence
Yes.
before me, so
Yeah,
neither of
and
you
it
get
goes
to
without
rely on
saying,
it.
I've dedicated my life to my kids. My kids adore me.
I'm not here to hear your evidence, I'm here to hear what's in this binder. So if it's not in the binder, I can't think about it. So you gotta peg it to the binder. So, okay, on the long weekends, it sounds like you've got a disagreement, and I'll just have to decide whether the 3 days is reasonable. She's agreed on the Father's Day, in return for the Mother's Day, you've agreed on that. And then, did I have it right in relation to this reset, that you were prepared to miss a weekend in return for having the right to do the reset?
Sure, yes,
Okay.
yes. I will point out that right now, even Ms. Roy's affidavit says I only see my kids 2 or 3 days a month. When they were younger, Ms. Roy was a famous parental alienator, and I went many, many months as they were kids and babies, is not seeing them because of parental alienation. I would hope that the court would side, now that my children are older, to be with me longer, but I will follow the court's direction.
And then, she's asked that you provide her home address. Any issue with that?
A huge issue with that. This has already gone, the last court proceeding, Ms. Roy asked for my home address. She was denied that by the judge.
Where's that?
Ms. Roy will tell you that she's being quiet right now, she has a lot to say, but I think it's towards the end of the binder, we have court notes. But in a nutshell, Ms. Roy's brother is belonged to a gang. He
Sorry,
has,
where's that in the binder?
it's in this one here.
Okay, I don't have that one, so you've got to rely on evidence that's in this. If you're saying the only reason you don't want to give your home address.
Yes, and
It's got to be in this binder.
Ms. Roy has no reason to ever be at my home, as I don't have any reason to be at hers.
But you know her home address,
But I don't go there.
but you know it.
I know it, yes, and just as I believe she probably does know mine,
But, so then you don't have any problem giving it.
I have huge problem giving it. Miss Roy's brother is a
Okay.
violent drug addict with a
Unless
criminal
that's-
record.
Unless that's in the record, I'm not gonna consider it.
And I will say that I caught Miss Roy's brother raping a child when he was younger, and that's all, there's court notes regarding that, and it was an
You should
order.
have put that in the binder if that was important.
But this is a long convoluted case, and already the last judge said that no, she could not have
Okay,
my home
where's
address.
that? You're telling me that, but you're not showing me that. I don't see an
It's-
order in here saying.
It's in the court notes.
No, it isn't.
I also have to say,
No,
Miss Roy.
stick with, let's make you agree with me that I don't see that order in here.
Could we ask Ms. Roy if this was already decided on?
Do you accept that there was an application that was refused for the home address?
No, I think it
Okay,
was a.
so-
We have
I
it
don't
noted
think-
in the court that she just said no,
I
because
don't-
this is very, very important.
Okay, she just
Well,
said.
my life is in
Right.
safe, this is a safety issue of Ms. Roy having my home address. She has connections to a violent drug dealer that I have an order on for,
Where's that?
there is an order of that.
Where?
Actually, if you look in the 2010 order, it will say something about a fellow named John Steffen, which is her brother. I also play, well, I don't play hockey.
No, let's not leave that.
No, this is highly important.
Right, but you gotta show me.
Yes, and I do apologize that I don't,
Sorry, I can tell you what happened was, if you look at the court summary sheet for June 25th, 2019, I did bring this up, and it was never spoken about at our last court date, so it was adjourned, because it was never brought up again. We only had a limited time to go through things, and it was not spoken of.
Okay, so there's no court order on this, sir, so don't tell me there is if there isn't. That makes you look bad, right?
who me?
Yeah,
I didn't say there was a court order, I said
Yes,
Ms.
you
Roy
did.
had brought this up before,
and it was
And-
dismissed.
and it was dismissed.
It was not dismissed.
Okay, I apologize, I don't know the terminology, but yes, it's very important, Ms. Roy. I also, where I live, I play hockey with RCMP, they know my story is actually quite well known. If ever Ms. Roy had a problem, she could call the local RCMP, which they all know me by name. I volunteer in my town with them. there is no reason that Miss Roy should ever have to drive to my house, because Miss Roy has a long history of false accusations, such as in 2012. If you read my, notice, my affidavit, Miss Roy claimed child abduction in 2012, and it was a monumental catastrophe for the Vancouver School Board. They actually ended up having to let 5 people go on the board. Basically, the whole board got removed. It's quite a famous case.
I
Miss Roy
understand you
has
guys have taken a lot of public resources, so we're
Yeah,
doing
Miss Roy
that today.
Miss Roy has caused huge damage to a lot of people with false claims in the past. So if Miss Roy to come to my house, I would be in danger. Like I say, if she needs to call, if she needs to get a hold of me, she can call the RCMP. I've never refused my sons to ever talk to her. I've
How
never
does she
not
serve you
picked
with
up.
court documents?
I've never,
What's your address for service?
a box, PO,
$8?
yeah, it's a PO Box 923.
Okay.
And like I
Okay,
say,
so
she
that-
would-
I got your
I live in
point
a
on the
town.
home address.
1,200 people, if she came to the local RCMP station and said, hey, bring me to his door, they would.
And, sorry, the other thing she was looking for is a notice if you're gonna waive a weekend. Are you prepared to do that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I hope she wouldn't use it against me. She uses everything
How much
against me.
notice would you be prepared to give?
1 week, 1 week.
Okay, I think I got where you're both at on the issues of parental time. So why don't we take the morning break and we'll go to the rest of your application. So,
Can I just add one thing to this?
go ahead.
On his Wednesday, it's on our current order for his Wednesday access, and he hasn't used that in a long time. So if we could have that removed then?
I think you would have had to bring an application and change that, but I'm just trying to see. Wednesdays from 4 PM to 7 PM.
Yeah, as per the Joyce model, I suppose, yes. And I was using it when I lived here. But I mean, I would like to keep it. Yeah, I mean, we'll say that typically, I live 4 hours away, so it doesn't make sense that I'd come. But if I am in town for whatever reason, it would be nice if I would be allowed to see my kids on the Wednesday.
But you would
Midday.
have, presumably, since you're not using it regularly, you'd be prepared to give notice that, that you wanted to use it.
Yes, that would make sense.
1 week?
Sure.
Could we have that more than 1 week, just for the summer? If I'm planning to go away, it's kind of hard to go away in the summer, for Wednesdays.
Right, that seems reasonable. But how much notice would you be prepared to give in the summer months? 1 month notice in the summer?
That I would be coming to see my kids on a Wednesday.
Yeah.
If I had school in town and I go to the school up here once in a while, and it's 2 weeks, say 10 days, does that make sense? And I gotta say, I have never.
That's more a holiday planning issue, I think.
Yeah, and if Miss Roy says that she has something to do that day with the children, I completely accept that, I understand that. As long as she's not using that as a weapon to keep me from my children, as she has a long history of doing.
That
10
is
days?
false. Our son had a hockey game to go to on a Wednesday, and it just so happened that was the day that he was
Sorry, I
coming
just want to know how much
town.
notice you want in the summer.
I would like more than 10 days.
How much?
I'd like 2 weeks at least.
2 weeks? Is that agreeable?
It will be used against me, but my children are everything to me. I mean,
Okay, so you're okay with 2 weeks notice in the summer, 1 week
I
notice
think it would be
in the
great.
rest of the year?
to keep it just the way it is right now, every Wednesday, she knows that
But you're not using it every
I
Wednesday, that's the
seldom,
problem.
yeah, I seldom use it.
Right, so we
But-
need to make a change to accommodate that in some way, shape, or form. So that's what she's proposing. It's 1 week
She's proposing
notice.
that I lose my Wednesdays, and it would be nice if I have that opportunity, even if I don't use
Right,
it.
so I think she's prepared to give you the opportunity, it's just a question of notice, so 1 week notice.
1 week
for
would be,
10
1 week would be fine, because that makes sense in the
And then 2 weeks
schedule.
notice in the summer?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, all right. Okay, so I've got you on the Wednesday point. Let's take the morning break and we'll come back and deal with 3, 4, 5, and 6.
This is regarding that same issue, these are actual the dates I gave to Ms. Roy, so we can nail down the dates.
Yeah, I'm only gonna consider this in the binder. Everything's gotta be in the binder.
I
So-
can
So next time
guarantee,
you'll know that everything's gotta be in the binder.
she will make sure that I don't get spring break. She will keep email chain going and going and going, and spring break is on the 14th. It's only a week away. And
We're gonna take the morning break.
Order in chambers? be locking up the courtroom.
Can I leave?
Yeah, you can leave anything you want.
Yeah.
Every time you breathe, it's one of those where the breathing is like shortness of breath. Yeah. I couldn't get an agent for this week.
Order in chambers? We are back on the record, my lord.
So I think we're up to number 3, which is the consent for release of some future history and Sun Life insurance form. So tell me why you need that, or
My lord, can I just make another comment on that last one that we were talking about?
Sure.
Number 2. Sorry, I just wanted to say that if he was to switch his, to change his weekends, if he could do that in January, only just because I book all my vacation for the year by the end of February, so I try to work that out on, like my summer. So on my weekend access.
I can say if it conflicts with their holidays, I will not press the issue and try to see my children on a Wednesday, or flip
I'm
my
flipping.
weekends if it conflicts with her holidays. If she can tell me her holidays, I can work around that. I've never been adversarial throughout this whole process.
well, it sounds like you guys have been nothing but
I-
adversarial towards each other. So
Absolutely, I take,
the question is, she's asking whether you're prepared to limit your flip right, to declare your flip right in January. It's the.
but say 3 months down the road, my schedule changes with work, then I'm
Okay,
stuck
so
for
you're
that
not
year.
prepared to agree to that. Okay, I'll decide
But,
that.
but I'm
So
supposed
let's
to,
move on to the next one.
I will be completely flexible with Ms. Roy.
I see no evidence that either of you are going to be flexible with each other, so neither of you should waste your time telling me that.
Regarding
Let's move
the,
to number 3.
regarding that last issue, you said it was in the book, I could present it. This was the holiday schedule I proposed
So is
for,
that in the book?
yes,
Where is it?
it's,
It's in the book, you don't need to give it to me.
yeah, but there was one more, piece added to that, and that's where I asked Ms. Roy for spring break from March 14th to 29th. And in the book, she's asked me for my summer schedule, and I've told her July 1 to July 31st. So she just ignored this email. I've been trying to open communication regarding that, and this is a common problem I've had throughout the years where she just ignores it to the last minute. And then I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place with my employment.
Okay,
So,
number 3? Yeah, let's deal with number 3.
in order that Christine Roy sign consent consent form from Sun Life, so I contacted Sun Life. I've had much issue getting.
So is Sun Life your insurer?
No, Sun Life is Miss Roy's insurer for the children. So Sun Life,
So why are you asking her to fill out a form for her insurer?
Sun Life suggested I do this so I could gain access to all medical information regarding my son. So Ms. Roy has a history of not telling me who the doctors are.
Where's the form?
Should be towards the end of that book, I believe.
Okay, I see it.
See, thank you.
Do you have any, just to cut this off at the pass, do you have any objection to signing this form?
Yes.
Why?
Because the only thing that this form would tell him is the amount of each procedure. We have joint guardianship, he has the ability to get the information directly from care providers. I send him an email every time we go to an appointment with an update, any information, and he can go to any of those care providers, which he has in the past, if you look at all the documentation that I have in my affidavit.
I'm just looking at the order. Yeah, the order says you can get medical information.
It does, but my problem is tracking down the doctor, so Ms. Roy cherry picks what she's going to give me. I have a history of finding doctors going back to 2013. I have this paper from the College of Dental Surgeons where a Dr. Stanley was told that I should have no information. I brought court records to him.
So the problem is, you say she's bringing up the doctors and you don't know who the doctors are?
Exactly.
Okay, so if you got a list of the doctors, that would take care of the problem?
She doesn't give me the list.
Okay, but if we made that order, then that
I
would take
believe,
care of the problem?
yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay, so you prefer to give a list of
No
any
problem, I
doctors that
have in the
attended?
past.
If Miss Roy had nothing to hide though, she would be fully transparent at this time. She's dragging her feet, kicking,
Well, she's
trying,
not kicking, she's just agreed that she'll give you a list of the doctors.
but she won't sign the Sun Life form. That
No.
Sun Life has recommended that I have
Well,
signed.
but the order now asks for you to get medical information, not insurance information. So if she's prepared to give you a list of the doctors, that would be sufficient. Yep.
I will take the court's direction on that.
Okay, let's go to number 4.
Okay, number 4, I'm asking for an order that affords me the right to bring my children to medical appointments outside of my actual parenting access time. So I've made appointments in the past, and Ms. Roy has sent me an email saying it falls outside your parenting time, you cannot bring your children to the doctor.
But she has to bring them to appointments in her parenting time. I'm trying to figure out, what's good for the goose is good for the gander?
I get very limited parenting time, so right now I get every second weekend, so Ms. Roy gets 80% of the time.
But
If-
proportionately, shouldn't they have the same proportion of medical issues in her time and your time? So doesn't it all come out in the wash?
No, if you look through the
They're
book,
more sick when they're with you than with
this
her?
is not about being sick, this is about extreme dental caries. A doctor has said that my
Right,
children,
Why do they get more, why do they have to go to more dentist appointments when they're with you than with her?
I'm not saying more,
But then then doesn't it all come out in the wash?
no,
Both
it
of you
doesn't,
end
no,
up-
sir, it does not.
How is that possible? If there's not a greater proportion of medical appointments in your time than their time, then it should come out in the wash.
Right now, I have access on weekends. Pediatricians, I've got letters from pediatricians that do not work on weekends. So
So that's
essentially,
good for you. You don't have to take them to the doctor.
I would like to look after my children's medical health. They have a
Why
long
do you
history.
care?
Why do I care?
Why do you care about whether the medical doctor does the appointment in your time?
Because she's not bringing him to doctors. Right now, for example, my youngest child,
But don't you both have to agree to medical treatment?
there is an order that we both have to agree, but that makes no sense. My son has
But that's the order. So she can't do anything without your consent, you can't do anything without her consent.
I have fully given her consent to take my children to a doctor anytime they need to go to a doctor. That makes sense
Okay,
as a
but-
parent.
but
I'm not gonna deny my child time to go see a
But
doctor.
Unless you convince me that there's some reason why they are proportionately going to more medical appointments in your time than her time, I'm failing to see why you need
They're
this.
not going to any appointments on my time, currently.
And so you view that as some psychic benefit to you? I
I don't understand what you mean, a psychic benefit to me? What do you mean?
What benefit is there to them going to doctor's appointments on your time?
so I can know what is going on with my children's health, so I can
Right.
keep,
So if
so I
you
keep
take-
abreast
if you
of my
take the
children's health.
proportionate, I mean, I think you can do the same level of medical care in your time as her time.
My time falls on a weekend. I have notes from doctors that say pediatricians do not work on weekends.
So what, I don't understand what you're looking for. I can't make doctors work on the weekends.
I'm not asking for that. I am
So
asking
what-
for an order that lets me take my children, say I suspect, so I'll give a perfect example. This is very important. I know this seems trivial
No,
to
it
someone that
seems
doesn't.
illogical.
So my youngest son had a heart issue. He had to go for some major dental surgery, and they found out he had a heart issue. I knew nothing about this for over 3 years, till I tracked down a Dr. Stanley,
No,
to
but
find out my
that's
son
the
had
previous
a
order.
heart issue. So,
What does that have to
so
do
a
with
few,
this
so,
order?
so about 6 weeks ago, over some time when I had my child, my youngest, James, I noticed some breathing issues. I told Miss Roy that my son is having breathing issues. Can I bring him to a doctor? She said, no, it falls outside your time. She did not bring my child to a doctor until it was about 6 weeks later, and now we find out that my son has just gone for an EKG and blood work, and has to go for other testing. Miss
That's a
Roy,
separate issue.
that
You're
is
saying-
it's a
you're
huge
saying
issue.
that-
At the
No,
time
no,
I
but
had my
that's a
child,
different issue than what you're asking for. You're saying that you should be able to take the kids to the doctor during your time.
yes. Oh yeah. I apologize if if I've communicated this wrong to you. I'm asking, I can take my children to the doctor on my time, which falls on the weekends, which is only the emergency room, because pediatricians and dentists typically don't work on weekends. What I'm asking is, when I suspect something is wrong with my child, or either one of my children, that I'm allowed to take them out of school. I am allowed to make doctor's appointments. So I'd make an appointment, as I've done in the past, approach Miss Roy and say, I have an appointment for 2 weeks, and I'd like to take my son to that appointment. And she'll have to say yes, and that's what I'm asking for.
And do you have to say yes to everything she's asking for?
I take that as an insult to me. That's rude. That makes no sense.
So
I'm not
why-
asking for her to say yes to everything. All I'm asking for is, if I suspect
You
something's wrong.
you want the unilateral right.
I
but
want
You're not prepared to offer her the unilateral right in her time.
I only see my children every 2 weeks, for 2 days.
But why should it not be the same for both of you? Either you both agree, or you both can take your kids to appointments independently. Why would there be a different rule for you?
According to the, right now, I currently see my children 2 days out of 14 days. Right, every second weekend. So if Miss Roy thinks she really needs to book a doctor's appointment on my weekend,
Has that happened?
no, and I
So
don't.
what's the problem?
So, but if, as happened in the past, where I suspect there's a medical need for my son to go to a doctor, that I should be allowed to take my son to a doctor any day during the week.
I don't see any ban against that in any order.
Miss Roy has said no on numerous occasions. I've sent her an email and
But
say,
that's a different issue. That's not what you're asking for here. You're saying that she's unreasonably withheld medical consent. Basically, that's what you're really upset about. So you want to be the unilateral decider of medical issues?
no, I'm not, well, unilateral together, work as a team, but
There's no such thing as unilateral together. It's
I would
either
like
unilateral or
the
together.
right to take my sons to medical appointments outside of my weekend access.
So you don't want it to count against your time? Is that what you're saying, or you just want to be able to take them while they're with you?
I would like to be able to take my sons to a doctor anytime I feel it's necessary with notice to Miss
And
Roy.
I don't see any reason you can't do that. There's no ban against that in any order.
And
before.
to give an example, in 2012, I don't know if you read my affidavit, but in 2012, I
Do
took,
you hear my question? There's nothing in the orders that I've seen that prevent you from taking your kids
there's
to the doctor.
absolutely hugely preventing me. In
Where?
2012,
There's no order preventing you from
in
taking your
2012,
children.
I tried to take my.
Is there an order preventing you from taking your
Well,
kids
there's
to
an
the
unwritten
doctor?
order. If my weekends are my weekends, and I tried to take my son on a Tuesday to a doctor's appointment, Miss Roy can approach the courts, and she has, and she can claim child abduction, which she has in the past.
Sorry, on your on your scheduled time, you can take the kids to the doctor, correct?
On my weekends, every second weekend, yes.
So-
Where the doctors are not open on weekends.
Okay, I think I've heard enough from you on that point. Do you have any response on the doctor's point?
He actually did take our son to the doctor, and he never disclosed this information to me, so.
Okay, in relation to number 4, I see no basis to make the order requested to exempt time spent at medical appointments from the parenting time of Mr. Roy, so I'm refusing number 4.
To break that down, do I understand that I am currently at 52 years old as a non-drinker, non-smoker, not allowed to take my teenage son
No,
to a
I'm saying-
doctor's appointment outside of my weekend access? Or my actual scheduled time to be with my children?
That's the way it works. The parent that has the child is the decision maker, subject to joint agreement.
Even with all the harsh medical situation my children are in right now?
That would yield to chaos if you were allowed to just set appointments down and rip the kids out of their regular schedule.
Rip the kids out of school? What I would do is make an appointment, as I've done, contact Christine and say, I would like to bring my son to a doctor's appointment. It's usually they take weeks to get in, pediatricians take weeks to get in, and then be able to take my son to that appointment.
I'm refusing number 4.
You're
for the
refusing
reasons
that?
I've given. Yes.
That's
Next.
outrageous.
Would you like me to find you in contempt? We can call the sheriff and get this straightened out if you'd like.
No, sir.
Okay, number 5.
On my weekend access, my 2 children, when I was being alienated from my children when they were young, the school system, I had volunteered repeatedly at the school system, made friends within my children's elementary school, which they were friends up until 2012 when Miss Roy made friends with the principal, and that whole child abduction thing went down. He has lost his job. Many people have lost their job over that. I made a lot of noise over that. My children have repeatedly requested, and the psychology books I've read, that it's really important for a child to be a parent to be associated with the school in as many parts of the child's life as possible. My sons repeatedly, and it also takes, have asked me to pick them up at their school. It also takes an element out of it where Miss Roy has followed me around the parking lot, harassing me on drop-off locations. She's done it a couple times. Most times now she stays in her car. But I would like to pick my children up on my weekends at their school, or 4 o'clock is what I'm asking for, specific time. So right now, Miss Roy says I can, according to the order, that she manipulated, that's an order actually I went to get in 2010 because I was getting no access. She says, nope, you can only pick your children up at 6 o'clock, exactly 6. And I said, well, I would have to, I go through town, there's a lot of traffic. May I please pick my children up at 4 o'clock? And her answer has been no, and I have it in emails over 50 times where she has said, no, I'm being rigid, I'm sticking to 6 o'clock.
Well, that's what the order said.
That's what the order says, that I went to court in 2010 to get, because I was getting no parental access or very limited. And she
Again,
wrote out
in
6.
terms of blaming people, don't blame her. That's what the court order says. The court order says 6 o'clock.
I will say, as a parent, and if the other parent, it was their weekend and they asked to pick the child up 2 hours early, I would think that common sense, for me, I would let the other parent pick the child up early in this traffic. I would not be adversarial like that and make that person pick the child up right at 6 o'clock. Remember, these are teenagers now. These are not little children anymore. These are teenagers being used as pawns for one parent to hurt the other parent. I just want to pick my children up on my weekends, either at 4 o'clock or directly from the school.
Do you have any evidence of this psychic benefit to children of being picked up at school? Is there
It's not
anything in the
psychic,
binder?
it's psychological. Many books say that.
Do you have anything in this binder about that?
A quick internet search will show you that
Sorry, I had a
children
simple question.
benefit
Is
from
there-
both parents having much
Is there
access.
anything in this binder on that?
No, I could only fit so much in that binder, Your Honor.
Anything else on that one?
No, otherwise, just that my children want me to pick them up their school. It would
Sorry,
mean a lot
where's the
to, it would
evidence
mean a
of
lot
that?
to
Where's
them.
the
and-
evidence of that?
My word.
Okay, but it's gotta be in the binder, right? You're learning that everything's gotta be in the binder?
I would not make my children start writing affidavits out, that would be cruel.
But you didn't even assert that that was their view in your.
No, but I would hope as a 52-year-old man, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I have no criminal record, that my word would be solid enough that my children have asked me to pick them up at their school.
The
My
rule, just to help you in any more applications, which obviously there will be, that you have to put everything in the binder that you want to tell me that's evidence. So you need to swear affidavits so that you're sworn before God or affirmed that you're going to tell the truth. You have to put it in affidavit. You're not allowed to stand there and give me evidence. Neither of you are.
I
That's
thought we
the
were
rule.
both under oath here.
No, that's not how it works. So from now on, make sure it's in an affidavit. So in relation to anything more on number 5, no? Do you have anything you'd like to add on number 5?
I mean, they don't wish to, that's my word against him, right?
Well,
So,
you don't have any evidence?
no, I
of
don't
that,
have
right?
any evidence either, but
Okay.
it just makes sense that they don't have to bring everything that they need to go with the weekend with you to school, to lug it there. They walk to school. Our oldest one walks to school and walks back, so.
On number 5, the burden was on the claimant to show me that there's a need to change the order, which requires a 6 p.m. Pickup for his weekends. I see nothing in the record that justifies the change to the current order.
Would I be allowed to ask the court to pick my children up at 4 o'clock so I can miss traffic on my weekends?
I've made my order. So number 6,
For the record, okay, so is that a yes or a no, Your Honor?
sorry, number 5, I'm refusing your application under paragraph 5.
So I have to pick my children up at 6 o'clock on my weekends?
That's what the order says, and you've given me no reason why that should change.
And again, what kind of reason would I have to give, like, so I know in the future?
That's not an inappropriate question to ask the court. That's your job. It's your burden to convince me. So number 6, counseling?
Since 2008, my children, especially my oldest, have suffered emotionally from the years of parental alienation. Ms. Roy turning my son against me. I'll give an example. In the parking lot on Kerr Street, where I picked my children up, my two children, this is one of hundreds of examples, and I've written them down and I've documented. My sons came at me and started punching me in the genitals and laughing their head off. And Miss Roy was standing there encouraging him and laughing her head off, thinking this was the funniest thing in the world. My youngest son, my oldest son, went to bed until he was 12 years old, which is, I don't have proof, but psychiatrists, psychologists will tell you that's an emotional issue. Right now, both my children present with nervous finger twitching, and I believe that I should be, I have a responsibility to my children. Counseling doesn't hurt, counseling won't hurt them, and essentially I'm asking that I'd be allowed to bring my children to counseling.
It looks like the position of the respondent is that she's okay with you doing counseling as long as you do that during the summer. Is that agreeable to you?
I live in a small town, we don't have counselors. And counseling, I have approached and talked to a counselor, and I have made appointments in the past, which Ms. Roy has denied me the right to take my son to counseling, and they're ongoing. So essentially, counselors like to start a program, and you go every 2 weeks on a Tuesday or a Thursday, and again, they don't work weekends, so it would have to be something that fell outside of my access time. But I've investigated it quite a bit.
But even on your own schedule, that wouldn't work.
With my schedule I have right now, no, absolutely, it's on weekends only, right?
Right, so,
And in the summer, if I'm having 18 days, 18 days of counseling for a child for the whole year would be a little benefit.
right, but I don't see how, you've proposed how much time you're gonna have with the children. I don't know how that works with your request for counseling.
I'm asking for, again, that falls under bringing my children to medical appointments and to counseling.
So you're asking for extra days so you can take them to counseling?
Well, extra days outside of a court order from 2010, yes.
And do you have any evidence that they need counseling in this binder?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, where's that?
Well, the section that says dental, I don't know if you had a chance to read through that.
So
It's,
show me what page you says they need counseling.
there's no page that actually says they need counseling. They have what's called extreme caries. They've had over 50 cavities in their lifetime.
Sorry.
They've had root canals. They gotta go for gum grafts.
You're not saying they have post-traumatic stress disorder from tooth problems, are you?
That's rude to say that to me.
No, but you need to show me where the recommendation for counseling is.
There's no
And so are you
record.
saying, I'm trying to get the connection between dental work and emotional distress?
That is one example, and it shows
And
precedent
where is it in the record?
which,
The connection between dental work and mental distress?
for a child of 12 years old to have 30 cavities is emotional. My.
Well, you're telling me that, but you're not a doctor, so is there
No.
somewhere in here that a doctor said that?
No, I haven't been able to take my son to a doctor. Ms. Roy's prevented me from taking my son to a doctor since 2008. She's worked
So,
extremely
again,
hard
my
to do that.
question is there anything in this binder that tells me they need counseling?
No, there's nothing in there that specifically says they need counseling.
Anything else on that one?
No, I plead with the court to allow me to bring my children to counseling and to doctors.
Anything you want to say about that counseling point? I take it you're agreeable to him taking them to counseling during his time in the summer?
As long as you would provide me with the information, the name of the doctor and an update, yes.
Anything else you want to say about counseling? All right.
Can I bring up one issue that's really important? When we got separated in 2008, I recommended counseling. Ms. Roy agreed to it, and we ended up going to a counselor where Ms. Roy actually got kicked out of the counseling class for not participating. So the counselor said she would not deal with Ms. Roy until she changed her attitude, until she really wanted to be at counseling. So a few weeks later, we got, through her Sun Life, we got an appointment with a psychiatrist, really high-end psychiatrist, $300 an hour down on Granville Street. And it was a 1 hour, I think it was a 1.5 hour appointment. Ms. Roy showed up a half hour late. So her ID, she does not believe in counseling. She also has told me, and it's in my affidavit, that her religion, her Catholic religion, has told her that I am no longer the father of my children according to her Catholic religion, and I don't think that is fair.
Just one other point on your agreement to counseling during the summer months. Are you agreeable to submitting those receipts to your insurer to see if they can be paid by your insurer?
My insurance won't cover that because they would have, when he was a dependent on my,
No, but this is a children's counseling.
They will, Your Honor, I've checked.
So the question, I don't need you to give me an opinion about the insurance coverage, but are you prepared to at least submit the receipts?
I can put them through and see if they will go by it.
Okay.
Before you rule, my lord, I'd like to make one other point
On which number?
on, well, I guess more about the parenting time.
Okay.
I would like that, I know I was not prepared for this to change the parenting time otherwise, because I asked for an adjournment to postpone this, but I would have liked the children to have a voice in this matter. They are almost 16 and 12, because it's just hearsay between me and him, right?
Right. I guess nothing I do prevented you from bringing their views forward in whatever form you felt was appropriate, so good.
I'm sorry?
Nothing I've done has prevented you from bringing their views forward.
No,
So I think you're not asking for an adjournment now, after 2 hours.
just for the parenting time.
So, okay. Yeah, I think we've gone a little too far down the road for that. All right, I'll reserve, I've given you orders on a bunch of them. I'll reserve on the balance. Try and give you reasons orally at 4:15 today, because we've got other matters that I need to hear for the rest of the day. But, Madam Registrar, are you okay if we do a quick 15-minute at 4:15 to give reasons?
My lord, I believe you are in the other courtroom, but I will notify that first.
Okay, perfect. And so if you could let the parties know what courtroom I'll be in this afternoon.
Courtroom 208.
So in 208, if you come there at 4:15, I'll give you reasons on the ones I haven't.
Okay.
So you can call the TMC.
Can we take into consideration that email that shows the days that I've asked for summer holidays?
It's not in the binder.
It is in the binder.
Okay, what page is it in the binder?
It was the last, I believe, towards the end of the book.
Yeah, for future reference,
It
you're
was-
supposed to number the exhibits.
It was July 1st to July 31st, and March 14th going forward with 7 days of holiday time.
So you tab in tab 3?
It was just in the book itself,
The end of the book?
yes. Here's what it looked like.
Is it in the affidavit?
No, it was, being, Miss Roy was still contemplating at the time that this was, the file was, the affidavit was handed in. But I do have that page here.
Okay, I don't think I've got it. You can give it to me to cross-reference it against the binder, but I'm not gonna take something that's not in the binder. Now on everything you need has to be in the binder.
It is absolutely in that binder.
I don't believe so.
Yeah, I don't think it's here either. Yeah, I looked through it briefly, I'm not seeing it. I will look again, but if it's not in here, I will consider this page.
If we could just nail down the exact days for this coming summer holidays and for this spring break, that would be great. Ms. Roy has already sent me an email requesting what days I want, and I do know, so if we could nail that down to take out any sort of.
I'm not here to provide you with that level of babysitting. I'll give you an order. That's it. Back at 4:15. Thank you.
Calling the TMC matter of Ahmed versus Wu, my lord. Order in chambers. Recalling the matter of Roy versus Roy, my lord.
In the interest of providing Mr. and Mrs. Roy with prompt access to justice in this matter, I'm going to issue my reasons orally, but I reserve the right to make changes for grammar and clarity of transcript of these reasons orally. The applicant, Clifford Roy, made an application for a series of orders in this application. I have already addressed certain of these requests during the course of argument. In particular, I refused items 1, 4, and 5 of the application, the orders requested in the notice of application on the basis that Mr. Roy had not provided sufficient evidence of 1, a breach of the extant orders by the respondent, 2, a basis for providing that he be afforded the right to bring his children to medical appointments outside of his parenting access time and without consent from the respondent, or 3, an order allowing him to pick up his children from school rather than the 6 p.m. provided for in the existing order. In relation to item 6 of the orders requested in the application, I see no evidence before me in the record that the children are in need of counseling, and hence I'm not prepared to make that order. In relation to item 3, seeking disclosure of the respondent's insurance documentation, I find that this is unnecessary and that the applicant has the right to the medical records themselves, which the applicant says is his primary concern. To the extent that Mr. Roy indicated that he was not being kept properly apprised as to the medical practitioners that the children were seeing, Ms. Roy indicated that she was prepared to provide a list of practitioners that they have seen. I make that order that she provide such a list within 14 days. And I also order that she keep that list updated within 14 days of the children seeing any new medical practitioners. In relation to item 2 of the orders requested in the application, Mr. Roy sought certain adjustments to the parenting schedule set out in the final order dated October 18th, 2010. The original parenting schedule was established when the parties were living in closer proximity. Mr. Roy has now moved much further away. In my view, this is a material change justifying some change to the current schedule. In particular, and for example, it's no longer generally practical for Mr. Roy to regularly utilize his court-ordered Wednesday parenting time, given the distance from his home to the respondent's home. Furthermore, the new increased distance supports the submission that longer, consistent periods are more advisable than more frequent, shorter periods. Next, given that there is no allegation of family violence on the part of the applicant, there is some benefit to a modest increase in the amount of parenting time with Mr. Roy in order to ensure that a solid relationship develops with both parents. Finally, the practice of the parties has moved away from the original order in certain respects. As such, I am prepared to make the following adjustments to paragraphs 5 to 9 of the final order dated October 18th, 2010. First, paragraph 5 shall be amended in relation to the Phase 2 parenting time schedule in 4 ways. First way is to provide that the Wednesday parenting time shall only be exercised by the applicant on 1 week's notice during September through June and on 1 month's notice for July and August. The second change to paragraph 5 is to provide that the claimant shall have the right once per calendar year to reset the alternative weekends by waiving his right to 1 weekend and by providing 1 month's notice to the respondent. Third change to paragraph 5 is to provide that on any of the applicant's weekends that include a Friday or Monday school holiday, his parenting time shall commence at 6 p.m. on Thursday or conclude on Monday at 5 p.m. respectively. The fourth change to paragraph 5, the claimant shall provide at least 1 week's notice if he is waiving his right to a scheduled weekend parenting time. Those are the changes to paragraph 5. Paragraph 7 shall be amended to provide that the applicant shall have the children during the summer school vacation for a block of 18 days at a time and on such dates to be chosen by the applicant 6 months in advance or as otherwise agreed by the parties. Paragraph 8 shall be amended to provide the applicant shall have the children for a 5-day block during the Christmas holiday period at a time starting on the first 5 days of the Christmas holiday in the first year, moving to the second 5 days in the second year, and then to the third 5 days in the third year, and continuing in that rotation thereafter, unless otherwise agreed by the parties. Paragraph 9 shall be amended such that the applicant, such that the respondent shall have the children from Friday at 6 p.m. to Sunday at 5 p.m. on every Mother's Day weekend, even if it is not during her regular parenting time. Additionally, the applicant shall have his parenting time for 7 days of each spring break, starting with the first week this year, moving to the second week next year, and continuing in that rotation thereafter, unless otherwise agreed by the parties. Any submission on costs of today's motion?
I have been out, I had to get a hotel. Yeah, I would like costs if that's possible.
And your position?
I would be opposed to that because I gave him the opportunity to change it when it would have been his weekend to spend with the boys to come up here.
I don't
And
understand.
he refused.
I didn't refuse anything. I've always been open to communication. Since the one notice shows that since 2015 that I've been making attempts to modify my access, and she has not modified anything, not a single hour in 5 years.
The test on cost, in order to receive an award of cost, requires that either of you have achieved substantial success on the motion, and I find that the success was divided today. Both of you succeeded in some parts and not in others, and hence my order is that both parties just bear their own costs of today's application.
I do have one question. So the Christmas holidays, a lot of times the kids finish off on a Friday, say the last day of school on Friday. Does that mean I pick them up on the Sunday, the closest day, the next day?
No, it would be the very next day.
So if they're finished on the Friday, I pick them up the Friday evening?
Right.
Okay, fair enough, yeah.
All right, thank you. And hopefully that gives you the clarity to go forward in a way that
Now-
reduces the need to return.
I do have grave concern regarding the welfare of my children. 50 cavities, a dentist has said, and you read my affidavit, that it's the worst caries he's seen. And Ms. Roy has top medical and dental, and I've been disallowed to take my children to a doctor repeatedly. How would I proceed? How could I prove that I need to take my children to a doctor? Besides, you have approximately 60 pages of dental notes, which is unheard of for a child. I'm 52 years old. I have all my original teeth. These are all my original teeth. So my children inherited solid teeth, but years and years of dental neglect, and that paperwork that I gave you over and over again shows that they have to change their diet and change their hygiene up until...
To the extent that you're seeking a change in the parenting responsibilities where, I guess in essence, you're seeking to take over their dental care, you need to file an application to say that I make all the decisions in relation to
I'm not
dental
asking
care.
for that.
Well, I'm not quite sure what you're asking for.
I'm asking to be able to take my children to a dentist or a doctor outside of my every second weekend access because of proven neglect. I mean, look at these pictures. I mean,
Well, I'm not a dentist.
well, I mean, you have teeth, I have teeth. For a child to have 60-plus pages of dental notes alone, and this doesn't include...
Well, I know my dentist is open on Saturdays, so there are dentists that are open on Saturdays. If it's important for you, enough for you to get a medical report suggesting that she's not acting appropriately, then you have the ability to find a dentist that's open on Saturdays and get an expert report.
A dentist will not
and file your
provide that. A
application.
dentist will not look at another dentist's notes. But
Sure.
to handicap me from bringing my sons to medical attention
You
with
can
such
bring them
a...
on Saturday to a dentist. There's dentists open on Saturday. You can come to North Vancouver if you're having trouble finding one. I'm sure there's maybe the advisor and some other.
So I live 4.5 hours away, and you're asking me to come to North Vancouver to take my
No,
son
I'm
to a
just giving you an
dentist?
example that there are dentists that are open on Saturday.
And then I only have every second weekend, so that puts my children in
If it's
harm's
important
way.
to you, you'll spend the time and take them to a dentist. on
I have
Saturday.
spent, since 2008, fighting to see my children. It's disgusting. Really disgusting. It's child abuse is what this place is. Full-on child abuse. Do we wait for court notes? Is that how it works now?
I have to type these out. It takes, they're usually ready within 24 hours for everything to be set down, just because the registry closes at 4 o'clock.
Okay.
Yeah. So you'll have to, are you in town for today?
No, I have to leave. I have to go back home.
Okay. If you are able to wait out in the hallway for about 10 minutes, I'll get these typed up. And
Okay.
then I'll print off copies and give them to you.
Oh, that would be lovely.
Okay.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah.